It's going to be a busy Tuesday for Donald Trump, who is due to be in Miami, summoned over charges stemming from his handling and retention of classified documents. But Trump is also set to host the first fundraiser for his 2024 campaign tomorrow evening, hours after he is expected to be arraigned in a Miami courtroom. But this latest indictment alleges that while out of office, Trump deliberately kept many documents involving military, nuclear and intelligence secrets. It makes the case that he knew full well some of that information was classified. But at the North Carolina Republican Party convention, he did not look like a man under severe legal stress. Hundreds of people stood up to welcome their former president as he walked onto the stage, happily soaking in all the adulation. He seemed like the main event after a three-course meal, but he did not spend his whole speech ridiculing the charges against him. In fact, far from it. A long, winding address touched on everything from the cost of living crisis to transgender people's participation in sport to trade with China as well as France. At one point, Trump even mimicked French President Emmanuel Macron's accent. But it is notable that the first former US president to ever face federal criminal charges did not spend the day holed up with his lawyers ahead of his first court appearance. He spent it addressing the party faithful in Georgia, loudly airing messages of defiance rather than privately preparing for court. Trump's legal battles have in fact become completely intertwined with his wider public presidential campaign. The US could face an unprecedented strain on its political and judicial system should the two truly collide next year. But he remains the front runner in the primary with a 30 percentage point polling advantage on average over Ron DeSantis, and polls so far show Trump with large leads over his Republican primary rivals as well. So what exactly happens next? Well, Trump's arraignment in Miami will likely follow a similar format to his arraignment in New York, where he showed up in court to hear the charges against him and pleaded not guilty. He was fingerprinted but not in handcuffs and did not have his mugshot taken as well. Now, as with the case against him in New York, the Florida court could extend this case well into the 2024 campaign season or even beyond the election. But could Trump go to prison? Well, the charges carry potential prison sentences, though it's not at all clear whether Trump will even be convicted at this point. Each count related to the Espionage Act violations alone could carry a maximum sentence of up to 10 years. For the conspiracy and false statement charges, it's 5 years per offense. For the obstruction charges, it's 20. But there's a logistical question as to whether Trump could even go to prison, given his required Secret Service detail and security concerns as well. These are uncharted waters for a former US president, as we've been covering. But in classic Trump style, he called the federal indictment against him a political hit job in his first public appearance since the charges were announced. In fact, he also called the prosecutor in the case deranged.
Deranged Jack Smith. And I watched him yesterday go up and talk. He talked for about 2.5 minutes. He was shaking. He was so scared. He didn't want to be there. Because ultimately, these are cowards. They're cowards. But I never thought such a thing could happen to America. As far as the joke of an indictment, it's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing for this country. I mean, the only good thing about it is it's driven my poll numbers way up. Can you believe that? They took one charge and they made it 36 different times. And we have a thug who's in charge. This is a political hit job.